Hello everyone, and welcome to the podcast. I'm so glad you're tuning in today because we're talking about something that everyone has experienced: criticism. Let's face it, criticism is a part of life. It can come from friends, family, colleagues, strangers, or even our own inner voice. And depending on how we handle it, criticism can either build us up or break us down. In today's episode, I want to dive deep into this topic and explore how we can approach criticism in a way that benefits us rather than hurts us. We'll talk about why criticism feels so personal sometimes and the different types of critics you might encounter, those who give helpful feedback and those who seem to criticize just for the sake of it. And trust me, learning to spot the difference is key to responding effectively. We'll also discuss practical strategies for handling criticism. Sometimes it's about staying calm and listening carefully. Other times, it's about recognizing when the feedback isn't worth your energy. And let's not forget the importance of using constructive criticism as an opportunity for self-improvement. It's not easy, but turning tough feedback into growth can make all the difference. Another aspect we'll cover is how to deal with negativity and protect your confidence. Criticism can sting, but it doesn't define you. Setting boundaries, practicing self-compassion, and staying focused on your goals are all part of staying resilient. So whether you've struggled with criticism in the past, want to handle it better in the future, or just want to gain some insights into how to give constructive feedback yourself, this episode is for you. By the end of our conversation, you'll have tools to face criticism with confidence and turn it into a stepping stone for growth. Thank you for joining me today. Let's dive into this important topic and uncover how we can all handle criticism better. So, criticism, it's just one of those things, right? It's something we all face in life, no matter who we are or what we do. Whether it's feedback from a boss, a comment from a friend, or even something someone says online, criticism is just unavoidable. And honestly, that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's a natural part of life and, if we handle it the right way, it can actually help us grow. The thing is, though, criticism can feel really uncomfortable. It has this way of hitting a nerve, sometimes making us feel defensive or even doubting ourselves. But here's the thing, we can't avoid it, and we shouldn't try to. Criticism isn't inherently bad, it's all about how we approach it. When we realize that criticism is just part of being human and interacting with others, it changes the way we see it. Instead of looking at it as this personal attack or something to fear, we can start seeing it as an opportunity. It's a chance to learn, to reflect, and, sometimes, even to improve. Of course, that doesn't mean all criticism is fair or helpful, far from it. Some feedback might actually be completely unhelpful or just plain wrong. But even then, there's value in figuring out how to respond to it in a way that strengthens you rather than tears you down. So, for me, the first thing to understand is this: criticism is inevitable. It's a part of the human experience, and it's something we all share. Once we accept that, we can stop wasting energy trying to avoid it or letting it control our emotions. Instead, we can start focusing on how to handle it in a way that serves us. And trust me, when you get to that point, criticism starts to lose its power over you. It becomes just another piece of information, something you can either use to grow or set aside if it doesn't serve you. And that's a mindset worth striving for. Not all critics are the same, and that's such an important thing to understand. Critics come in all forms, and their intentions can vary widely. Some people genuinely want to help you improve, they're offering constructive feedback because they care about your growth or because they see potential in you. These are the critics you want to pay attention to, because their feedback, even if it's tough to hear, can be incredibly valuable. They might highlight things you hadn't noticed or suggest ways to improve that you might not have considered. But then there are the other kind of critics, the ones whose intentions aren't as positive. These might be people who criticize out of jealousy, insecurity, or a need to tear others down. Their feedback often lacks substance or doesn't come from a place of wanting to help you. And then there's another group that's worth mentioning, critics who may not actually understand what you're doing or why you're doing it. Their criticism might come from a place of misunderstanding rather than malice. The key to handling criticism is to identify what kind of critic you're dealing with. Is this person offering feedback with the intention of helping you, or are they just being negative for the sake of it? Understanding their motivation can help you decide how to respond, or if you should even respond at all. When you can differentiate between constructive and destructive criticism, it becomes so much easier to separate the valuable feedback from the noise. This is an essential skill because not all criticism deserves your attention, and knowing where to focus your energy is crucial for growth and maintaining confidence. So take a moment, assess the critic's intentions, and handle the feedback accordingly. Staying calm when faced with criticism can make all the difference, but it's not always easy. Criticism can trigger an emotional response, whether it's anger, hurt, or defensiveness, and that's completely natural. The key is to take a pause. When someone criticizes you, instead of immediately reacting, just take a moment to collect yourself. A deep breath or a short pause can help prevent you from responding impulsively. Staying calm gives you the space to think clearly about the feedback itself rather than the way it was delivered. It also shows confidence and self-control, which can diffuse any potential tension in the conversation. Even if the criticism feels unfair, staying composed allows you to keep your focus on what's important and decide whether the feedback deserves your attention. Calmness helps you respond thoughtfully rather than react emotionally, which is a skill that can make a huge difference in how others perceive you and how you feel about yourself after the interaction. It takes practice, but over time, keeping calm in these moments becomes easier and much more effective. Listening to criticism is one of the most important skills you can develop. When faced with criticism, it's tempting to jump in and defend yourself or start explaining why the feedback might be wrong. But taking the time to really listen can help you process what's being said and approach it in a more effective way. Listening doesn't mean you agree with the criticism or even that you like what's being said, but it does give you the chance to understand the other person's perspective. Sometimes, criticism that feels harsh on the surface might actually contain some valuable insights if you're open to hearing it. Listening also helps keep the conversation calm and constructive. By showing the other person that you're willing to hear them out, it builds mutual respect and can lead to a better exchange overall. Even when the criticism isn't useful or constructive, listening gives you the information you need to decide whether it's worth your energy to respond. It's really about staying open and giving yourself the chance to process the feedback instead of reacting impulsively. Over time, developing this skill can make a huge difference in how you handle criticism and how others perceive you in those moments. Seeking clarification is really important when dealing with criticism because it ensures that you fully understand what's being said before reacting. Sometimes, feedback can be vague or unclear, which makes it harder to know what the person actually means or how to act on it. Instead of guessing or jumping to conclusions, asking questions to clarify the feedback can help you avoid misunderstandings and even turn a potentially tense situation into a constructive conversation. For example, you might ask them to elaborate or give specific examples of what they're referring to. This doesn't just help you get more context, It also shows the critic that you're open to understanding their perspective. By seeking clarification, you might find that the criticism isn't as harsh as it initially seemed, or you might discover valuable insights that you wouldn't have picked up on otherwise. It's also a good way to handle criticism that feels poorly expressed because sometimes the delivery can cloud the actual message. Asking thoughtful questions shows maturity and a willingness to learn, which can help you respond more effectively and turn the feedback into something useful. Recognizing constructive criticism is essential to turning feedback into something helpful. Constructive criticism is meant to improve, not tear down. It often comes from people who genuinely want to see you grow or do better. This type of criticism is usually specific and actionable, meaning it points out particular areas for improvement and often includes suggestions on how to make changes. For example, instead of saying something vague like, "This isn't good," constructive criticism might sound more like, "This part could be stronger if you tried doing it this way." The tone is another indicator. Constructive criticism typically comes from a place of support or concern, even if it's a bit blunt at times. It's important to approach this type of feedback with an open mind, even when it's difficult to hear, because it has the potential to provide valuable insights you might not have considered. Recognizing the difference between constructive criticism and outright negativity is key, as the former is meant to help while the latter often has no real value. When you can identify constructive criticism, you can use it to make meaningful improvements in your work, behavior, or approach, which ultimately leads to growth. This kind of feedback, though it might be uncomfortable at first, is an opportunity to learn and do better. Ignoring criticism that is purely negative or intended to tear you down is one of the most effective ways to protect your energy and maintain focus. Not all feedback has value, and some criticism comes from people who have no intention of helping or contributing positively. This type of criticism often reflects the insecurities, frustrations, or negative intentions of the person giving it rather than any actual flaws on your part. Engaging with purely negative feedback can lead to unnecessary stress and distraction, pulling you away from what truly matters. Recognizing these kinds of comments for what they are allows you to mentally set them aside and move forward without being weighed down by them. When you ignore baseless criticism, you keep your confidence intact and preserve your time for things that genuinely contribute to your growth and goals. It's about choosing where to direct your attention and energy rather than letting negativity dictate how you feel or respond. By filtering out unhelpful feedback, you take control of your own narrative and focus on what's most important to you. Using constructive criticism as a tool for growth is all about transforming feedback into actionable changes that benefit you in the long run. Let's start by understanding what constructive criticism really is. It's feedback designed to help you improve. It's not about tearing you down or pointing out flaws for the sake of it. Instead, it's meant to highlight areas where you can grow and become better. This kind of criticism often comes with suggestions, insights, or advice that you can act on, making it much more useful than vague or negative comments. The first step in using constructive criticism effectively is to approach it with an open mind. That doesn't mean you have to agree with everything that's said, but it does mean being willing to reflect on the feedback and see if there's truth or value in it. Sometimes, it might touch on things you hadn't considered or areas where you've been overlooking potential for improvement. It's important to resist the urge to be defensive, because when we're open to feedback, we're more likely to learn from it. Once you've processed the criticism, the next step is to turn it into action. Think about what changes you can make based on the feedback. For example, if someone says your communication could be clearer, consider ways to refine how you express your ideas. This might involve practicing, seeking advice, or trying new approaches. The key is to focus on growth rather than perfection. Constructive criticism isn't about achieving flawlessness, it's about making meaningful progress. Using constructive criticism also requires a certain level of humility. None of us are perfect, and acknowledging that is a sign of strength. When you accept feedback as an opportunity to grow rather than as an attack on your abilities, you become more resilient and adaptive. Constructive criticism can actually empower you because it gives you the tools to improve, build confidence, and strengthen your skills. Ultimately, constructive criticism is a gift, even though it doesn't always feel like one in the moment. It's an external perspective that can help us see things we might not notice on our own. By embracing it, reflecting on it, and acting on it, you can turn even tough feedback into a stepping stone for growth and success. It's all about shifting your mindset and recognizing the potential for improvement in every piece of feedback you receive. Setting boundaries when handling criticism is essential, especially when the feedback becomes excessive, toxic, or starts to affect your well-being. Criticism can sometimes cross the line, becoming overly personal or relentless, and in these moments, it's important to protect yourself. Boundaries allow you to control how much criticism you allow into your life and help you decide which feedback is worth paying attention to. This might involve distancing yourself from certain people who constantly criticize without offering anything constructive, or it could mean directly addressing the situation by saying that you're not open to discussing certain topics. For example, if someone gives you repeated feedback that feels more harmful than helpful, you can calmly express that you prefer to focus on constructive feedback. Setting boundaries doesn't mean avoiding criticism altogether. It's about managing it in a way that prioritizes your mental health and confidence. Boundaries help you take control and ensure that you're engaging with criticism in a way that serves your growth rather than bringing you down. They remind you that you have the right to protect your energy and focus on the feedback that truly matters while filtering out negativity that doesn't add value. Avoiding engagement with people who criticize just to provoke or hurt is one of the most important ways to protect your energy and maintain focus. Some individuals criticize without any intention of being constructive, offering feedback that is purely meant to stir up conflict or bring someone down. Engaging with this type of negativity rarely leads to productive outcomes and often only serves to drain your energy. These situations can distract you from your goals and even undermine your confidence, so it's crucial to recognize when someone's motives are harmful or unhelpful. Instead of reacting or trying to defend yourself, take a step back and refuse to engage. By doing so, you take control of the situation and avoid wasting time on feedback that adds no value. Redirecting your focus to constructive criticism and supportive people ensures that your attention is spent on what truly matters, rather than on negativity designed to derail you. Protecting your mental and emotional well-being means choosing not to let harmful critics affect your progress or self-confidence. It's about deciding who and what deserves your energy. Surrounding yourself with supportive people is one of the best ways to stay resilient in the face of criticism. The people you choose to spend time with can have a huge impact on your confidence and perspective, especially when you're dealing with negativity. Supportive individuals, whether they're friends, family, mentors, or colleagues, are there to uplift you and remind you of your strengths. They listen, offer encouragement, and help you stay focused on your goals, even when criticism feels overwhelming. Having a strong support system creates a sense of balance. When you encounter harsh or unhelpful criticism, the positive voices in your life can outweigh the negativity, helping you keep things in perspective. These people don't just boost your confidence, they also provide valuable feedback and guidance when you need it most. Surrounding yourself with supportive individuals isn't about avoiding criticism altogether, it's about having the right people to remind you that criticism doesn't define you. In addition to offering emotional support, these individuals often act as sounding boards, helping you process constructive feedback and make decisions about what's worth your energy. When you surround yourself with people who believe in you and your abilities, it becomes easier to handle criticism and maintain your focus on what truly matters. Their encouragement builds a foundation of confidence, making it easier to navigate challenges and grow from them. Supportive relationships are a crucial part of staying motivated and resilient in the face of criticism. Turning valid criticism into actionable changes is one of the best ways to grow and develop. When you receive constructive feedback, it provides an opportunity to identify areas where you can make improvements and enhance your skills or approach. The first step is to reflect on the feedback you've been given. Take the time to understand it thoroughly and consider what specific points resonate with you. Ask yourself what you can learn from the feedback and how you can use it to improve. It's important to focus on the value in the criticism rather than getting caught up in any discomfort it might initially cause. Once you've processed the feedback, break it down into clear, actionable steps. Think about the practical changes you can make to address the areas of improvement highlighted in the criticism. For example, if someone points out that your teamwork skills could be better, you could look for ways to actively collaborate more effectively, such as by being more open to feedback, communicating more clearly, or showing greater support for your colleagues. Setting specific goals or milestones can help make the process more manageable and give you something concrete to work toward. Turning valid criticism into action also demonstrates that you're open to growth and willing to take feedback seriously. This can help build trust and respect among peers, colleagues, or mentors because it shows a proactive attitude and a commitment to continuous improvement. As you start seeing the results of your efforts, it can boost your confidence and reinforce the idea that constructive criticism is a tool for progress rather than a personal attack. This process does require some self-awareness and humility, as it's not always easy to acknowledge areas where you can improve. However, embracing constructive feedback allows you to grow and turn challenges into opportunities for success. By consistently taking actionable steps based on valid criticism, you're not just addressing weaknesses, you're actively building strengths and becoming more resilient. It's about changing your perspective on criticism and using it as a guide to reach your full potential. Reflecting on feedback with a growth mindset is a transformative way to approach criticism. While receiving feedback can sometimes stir up emotions like discomfort or doubt, adopting this mindset allows you to reframe criticism as an opportunity to learn and improve. A growth mindset focuses on the belief that abilities and skills can be developed over time with effort and persistence. By embracing this perspective, you can turn even the most challenging feedback into a valuable tool for personal and professional development. The first step in reflecting with a growth mindset is to see criticism as a learning opportunity rather than a personal judgment. This involves separating your sense of self-worth from the feedback you receive and recognizing that criticism is not a measure of your value but a guide for growth. Instead of dwelling on what you might perceive as failure, shift your focus to what you can gain from the experience. Ask yourself questions like, what insights can I take from this feedback, and how can I use this information to grow and improve? By framing feedback in this way, you'll be able to approach it with curiosity and openness, rather than defensiveness or fear. Another important aspect of a growth mindset is understanding that improvement is a process. Growth doesn't happen overnight, it's a journey of consistent effort and reflection. When you receive criticism, take the time to analyze it thoughtfully. Look for specific, actionable points in the feedback and consider how you can apply them to your work or behavior. For example, if someone points out that your writing needs more clarity, you could focus on organizing your ideas more effectively or practicing concise language. By breaking down the feedback into manageable steps, you can create a plan for growth that feels achievable and motivating. It's also important to maintain a positive and resilient attitude during this process. Criticism can sometimes feel overwhelming, but a growth mindset encourages you to see challenges as opportunities rather than obstacles. Remember that every piece of constructive feedback is a chance to develop new skills, refine your approach, and strengthen your abilities. Instead of fearing criticism, embrace it as a necessary part of your journey toward becoming the best version of yourself. Finally, reflecting with a growth mindset means acknowledging your progress along the way. Celebrate the small wins and improvements you make as a result of acting on feedback. Recognize that growth is ongoing and that each step forward contributes to your overall development. By focusing on the positive changes you're making, you can stay motivated and build confidence in your ability to learn and adapt. Overall, adopting a growth mindset when reflecting on feedback transforms criticism from something to be avoided into a powerful tool for self-improvement. It's about embracing the idea that every challenge, mistake, or critique is an opportunity to grow and evolve. By viewing feedback as a stepping stone rather than a roadblock, you can approach it with optimism, determination, and a willingness to learn, ultimately paving the way for continuous growth and success. Staying focused on your goals and values is essential for building resilience, particularly when facing criticism. Goals provide you with direction and purpose, ensuring that you remain motivated and centered during challenging times. Values act as guiding principles, helping you make decisions and navigate situations while staying true to what matters most to you. Together, these elements form a strong foundation that keeps you grounded and confident. When criticism arises, maintaining focus on your goals reminds you of why you're working hard and striving for improvement. It allows you to filter out distractions and unhelpful feedback, ensuring that your energy is directed toward meaningful progress. Your goals create clarity, making it easier to determine whether criticism is worth engaging with or simply noise you can dismiss. Values are equally important in fostering resilience. By staying committed to your values, you ensure that external opinions don't pressure you into compromising your beliefs or priorities. Your values serve as a compass, guiding you in responding to feedback and making choices that align with your integrity and purpose. They enable you to remain consistent in your actions, even when faced with overwhelming criticism. Focusing on your goals and values provides a sense of clarity and confidence that helps you navigate challenges effectively. It empowers you to discern between constructive feedback and negativity that doesn't serve your growth. This mindset allows you to transform criticism into opportunities for success, maintaining your resilience and staying committed to your path. The combination of clear goals and strong values equips you to thrive despite obstacles or setbacks. Handling criticism is a valuable skill that can help you grow, build resilience, and maintain focus on your goals. By understanding the different types of criticism, you can differentiate between constructive feedback and harmful negativity. Learning to stay composed, seek clarification, and set boundaries ensures that you engage with criticism in a way that supports your development. Surrounding yourself with supportive individuals further strengthens your ability to navigate challenges. Most importantly, Staying true to your values and using criticism as a guide for improvement allows you to turn obstacles into opportunities for success. When approached with the right mindset, criticism becomes a tool for personal and professional growth rather than a setback.